What's up, y'all? It's your girl, Miss Amarachi, and this is a lyrical breakdown for my song, Brown Paper Bag Girl, off of my new EP, The Skin I'm In. So the song starts off, tell me something that I don't know, show me something that I don't see. I've been feeling like the old me, air is getting thicker, my temper flaring quicker. I see pain in all my homies. So for those of you who don't know, brown paper bags have a huge significance in the Black community. Back in the day, slavery, there was a thing called brown paper bag test. And essentially, you weren't admitted or allowed in certain spaces if you weren't lighter than a brown paper bag. So they would literally hold up a brown paper bag, like the lunch bags we used to use in school for our lunch. Hold up a brown paper bag, put it to your face, and if you were lighter, you were admitted into a certain area, a certain section in church, a certain venue, and if you were darker, you were not allowed in. And so that's where the inspiration for this song came from. And so the first few lines of this song, tell me something that I don't know, tell me something that I don't see, I've been feeling like the old me, is kind of alluding to that. It's like, I've never had to experience someone actually physically putting a brown paper bag in front of my face and telling me if I gain entrance or admittance into a certain space, but it's felt like that in my past, right? Like, or I've even heard of these things before, right? So, I've heard of people saying things like, oh, such and such rapper or this person didn't let certain people in their section because they were darker skin or darker than a brown paper bag. Or, some people were afforded certain opportunities because of their skin complexion and others were not. Or certain people were treated in a certain way because of their skin complexion and others were not. And so again, like, I've been feeling like the old me. That's kind of me alluding to, again, like, I'm still seeing some remnants of this brown paper bag test in the world. I've been feeling antsy. People asking when they finna be an auntie. I'm not trying to fit the label that I'm angry, but quite frankly, I've been angry. I am at the age where people keep asking me, when am I gonna be an aunt? When are you gonna have a baby? What's going on? And not only am I not ready for that right now, just because of where I am in life and where I'm trying to go with my career, I do not plan on bringing children into a world without two parents involved, without living in a two-parent household. That's how I grew up. That's what I saw. And I feel like that is what makes things a lot easier and helps with the success of a child, is having both of their parents in their lives, right? I plan on getting married one day. All those things considered, I can't make you an auntie right now. I don't have nobody right now. I can't make you a grandmother right now. I don't know what do you want me to do? Like, back in the day, yeah, I was popping out babies 24, 25, 26. Now, those things are a little harder, you know what I'm saying? Because people are trying to elevate their careers. This dating pool is sparse. It's sparse. So, I do get a little antsy when I think about, my future and stuff like that. And I by no means, I'm saying that I would never fight anybody or I will never make someone an auntie or never make someone a grandmother. But sometimes I do get a little antsy because I think about, if certain things were different in my life and quite frankly, if I was of a certain complexion, would I have somebody? Would I not? Would I be farther in this dating life? Would I not? Being fully transparent, never had a boyfriend. Really. I had like a fake one, but it wasn't real. Like, I had a fake boyfriend. It was like a week. But yeah, like, I've never really been in the dating pool. I've talked to people. I've entertained people and stuff like that, but I've never had like a committed long-term relationship. And so for me, like, things that go on in my mind is like, oh, if this thing was different, would it be different? If I see this person is with somebody, like if such and such, if the tables were turned, would it be different? So that's where I get a little antsy, is like, when is it gonna be my turn? You know what I'm saying? I never was a brown paper bag girl, living in a cold world, suffering from all worlds, forced to feel the pain inside. Rarely was the one they eyed. You know, I'm not and never will be lighter than a dark brown paper bag. I don't plan on bleaching my skin. I like my skin. I like my skin complexion now. But, you know, me saying I never was a brown paper bag girl, like I was never lighter than a dark brown paper bag. I will never be lighter than a brown paper bag or the color of a brown paper bag, right? And so it's just, this journey has been accepting that and loving myself, being darker than a brown paper bag. But because of those things, you know, it's a cold world out here. It's a lot harder out here. You know what I'm saying? Folk is not jumping at me as much as the next person, right? And so there's a pain that comes with that. Like, again, as I said earlier, there's a pain that is associated with, you know, thinking about the what ifs. What if I was lighter than a brown paper bag? What if I was fair skinned? Like, would I be pulling? But then I remember, like, I'm still beautiful. I'm still that bitch. So irregardless, I'm still gonna pull. They coming. I know you probably watching too. I'm ready for you. I never was a brown paper bag girl. Notice how my hair curls are rarely seen on those girls. No matter all the tears I cried, I'll never be a brown paper girl outside. Once again, when you are, you know, there's an association with a certain skin tone and hair texture. It's usually like the fairer your skin is, the curlier or the less coarse your hair texture is. The darker your skin is, usually the more coarse your hair is. It's not always, it's not 100%, it's not always true. There are people who are anomalies, but for the most part, that is what I've seen, right? And so, you know, as a darker skinned woman who has 4C hair, you know what I'm saying, it's also been a journey loving my hair, loving the hair that comes out of my skin, because, you know, it's not even just that I have to fight against what society deems as beautiful in terms of hair texture and hair curl pattern, but literally there are laws in place and things in place that have directly affected people who have a certain hair texture. When it's the texture that comes out of our head, like, I will never understand, how are you discriminating against me for something that I didn't even choose? I did not choose to have 4C hair. So why is it that we have to have the Crown Act that literally bans hair discrimination when it's the hair that comes out of my scalp? How does that make sense? How, Sway? How? Suffocating while waiting just for an affirmation. Some people may call it hating, but this is my observation. We in a nation where preference is always conversation, but those who conversate on preference are from the same nation. Now, before I break that down, I must say this, because I know there's going to be some linguists, and one of my best friends is a linguistics person, is a linguist, professors who are English teachers. I know that conversate is not a word. I know it's converse. It just rolls off the tongue better. You feel me? But I digress. That line is, again, so powerful. It's so powerful. We in a nation where preference is always conversation, but those who conversate on preference are from the same nation. I've never heard a white person say that they prefer, oh, I prefer gingers, I prefer blondes, I rarely hear that. Rarely. I rarely hear a Latinx person say, I prefer this type of Latinx, I prefer this type of Latinx. I rarely, if ever, have heard an Asian person say, I prefer this type of Asian, I prefer this type of Asian. But you see, us black people will have every preference in the book. Oh, I prefer a light-skinned person. I prefer 3C, 3A hair. I prefer you to be 5'6" with little toes. Like, we got the most preferences and the most discrimination amongst ourselves, and we have conversations about preferences the most, and it really doesn't make sense to me, because it's like, black is beautiful regardless. Why does there have to be a preference? Personally, and some people might disagree, the only way or the only time that I subscribe to preferences is if we're talking about geographic location, if we're talking about personality types, like I prefer an extrovert over an introvert. I prefer somebody from the East Coast than someone from the South. I prefer someone who likes wearing their nails long than short. I think those preferences are okay. But I think it's weird when you start talking about I prefer a light-skinned person or a dark-skinned person. I prefer a dark-skinned person over a light-skinned person, because it's like, why? Like, I can explain to you why I prefer living and raising my kids in Prince George's County over raising them in California. And it's because I grew up in Prince George's County. I'm familiar with that area. And I know that there are people who look like me, and I want my kids to see people who look like them on a daily basis, right? Versus in California, that's not a thing, right? I can tell you why I might prefer somebody who is able to be extroverted and introverted, because that's how I am. So our personalities might mesh, versus being with somebody who's super quiet, super closed off. It's not something I prefer, because it might take me a little bit more to pull you out of your shell. It might be harder for our personalities to mesh. You can't tell me why you prefer a dark-skinned person over a light-skinned person. Or you can't tell me why you prefer a light-skinned person over a dark-skinned person without showing me some sort of internalized, colorism that you have. You just can't. Trying to be patient, but every day my time is wasting. I'm getting anxious, because non-brown paper bag girls ain't at banquets. We stuck in basements while our replacements get shown around. We remain a stomping ground. It's just reiterating, like, dark-skinned girls are always pushing the basement, push it aside. It's like, we'll get to you later. And then everybody else is like, all right, what's up, what y'all need? Just gets tiring. News flash, where that news at? We that new cash. Who's that claiming he could smash? He too trash. Another thing, unfortunately, with dark-skinned women is that a lot of people don't want to outwardly accept or claim us, but it's always like, I want you in the bed. Like, I want to be, there's this hypersexualization, and it's like, you think you could get all of this? You're bugging. You're bugging. You're tripping. You're crazy. You're on something, because you ain't getting none of this good stuff. None of it. None of it. Okay? Take your hypersexualization and go somewhere else. Thank you. I'm that shorty. Sometimes naughty. Don't think I'm a cool pass. Don't let your mind wander. I'll make you eat your food fast. They asking who's that. I go by Miss Amarachi, not a brown paper bag girl, but I still stunt on everybody. Put all that pain aside. I see beauty in my eyes. Brown paper bags are for those who need a disguise. This journey of loving myself has been gradual, but I can fully and confidently say that I love the skin that I'm in. I'm happy, and I find joy in knowing that, I have beauty inside and outside. And, for those who are still, hung up on this colorism thing, hung up on, certain complexions being prettier than others, it's like you need a disguise in order to mask, again, the hatred that you have within yourself. And I hope that this love and joy that I have a lot of to share, I can help you take that disguise off. I never was a brown paper bag girl, living in a cold world, suffering from all worlds, forced to feel a pain inside, rarely was the one they eyed. I never was a brown paper bag girl. Notice how my hair curls are rarely seen on those girls. No matter all the tears I cried, I'll never be a brown paper girl outside.